Now on Radio Glamorgan, something special just for you.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Sporting Roundup Show, your weekly sports show presented by sports journalism students from the University of South Wales in Cardiff. I'm your presenter for this week. My name is Callum Nixon and I'm a third year sports journalism student from Gloucestershire. With me this week, as usual, are my fellow students Joe Mansfield and Matt Williams. This week we will be discussing all of the football and rugby action coming up this weekend and reviewing last weekend's games, which of course include that special Welsh win over England. As usual, keep an ear out for our quiz questions throughout our show today. It's now time to introduce this week's quiz. Today's quiz is a Welsh boxing special to match our feature interview later on the show. Later on, you will hear from Robbie Regan, the former WBO bantamweight world champion. But first, you will be tested on your knowledge of Welsh boxing history. We'll start off with an easy one. Which Welsh boxer defeated Mikkel Kessler at the Millennium Stadium in November of 2007? The other questions will be spread throughout the show, but don't worry if you miss one. The questions will be repeated at the end of the show before we reveal the answers. We'll now move swiftly into the rugby roundup with Joe Mansfield. For anyone who somehow managed to miss last weekend's Six Nations results, what happened, Joe?
Well, Callum, what a game we had on Saturday. Wales defeated England in a fast and open game. Well, I'm sure you've heard those lines before. In truth, the game wasn't that fast, as referee Pascal Gauzer's whistle regularly interrupted proceedings, as Wales won 40-28 in a high-scoring encounter. Ireland completed the now formality of beating Italy, as they ran away 48-10 winners in Rome. In domestic action, the Cardiff Blues lost to Munster last Friday, with the scoreline of 11 points to 20 favouring the Irish side. The Ospreys were also undone by an Irish team as they fell to a 21-7 defeat at the hands of Ulster. The Dragons were defeated 26-15 on the road in Zebra. The Scarlets were able to recover some Welsh pride though, as they snuck a 2-point win over Edinburgh in Edinburgh, winning 27-25.
So Joe, the main talking point of the game on Saturday was the refereeing decisions of Pascal Gauzier. What did you make of his involvement in the game?
As with any game, there's always a dispute with officiating decisions. In my opinion, they could have gone either way, with the knock-on and with the quick penalty. That being said, Wales were fortunate to come off on the positive side of both decisions.
Do you think Wales would have won it if it wasn't for the referee?
Honestly, I think it would have been close. England was so ill-disciplined and could have had a yellow card for the number of penalties they conceded. Wales had other opportunities like the Louis Rees-Zammit chance, and there were questions about a forward pass in the build-up to the Anthony Watson try. So I think you've got to take the rough with the smooth. I'm still seeing people argue whether the decisions were correct or false, which shows how perceptive they can be. Even Pascal Gauzier has admitted he made errors, so perhaps on another day it might have gone against Wales. Wales now have another great opportunity to complete a Grand Slam victory and claim another Six Nations title. If they aren't to beat France in their last game or against Italy, then they'll need their neighbours and old enemy England to do them a favour.
What did you make of Ireland's performance against Italy?
I thought they were a little loose in places, but Sexton showed some real class and unfortunately the game was not competitive. I could see some nice shape to Ireland's attack, and if they gather some momentum and pick up wins against Scotland and England, then they could take some positives from this campaign. If not, it will be seen as a miserable one, as they have already lost 2 of their 3 games.
Where do we stand with the France versus Scotland game?
It was postponed last week due to an outbreak in the French camp, but is now touted to take place on the 26th of March, with the Gallagher Premiership relaxing its rules to allow players to play outside of the international window.
What did you make of Scarlets and Dragons' performance last weekend?
There were worrying signs for the Dragons, who were outplayed by Zebra. The only tries for the Newport-based side came in late in the piece, with a flash of brilliance from Rodri Williams, creating a scoring opportunity for Jonah Holmes. He crossed again minutes later from another set-piece move, but it was merely a consolation. On the other hand, the Scarlets did well to win away from home with a depleted side. Tyler Morgan's try was as slick a set-piece move as you will see all season. They showed some more gusto in attack, with some running rugby putting Johnny McNichol in the corner, before Dane Blacker scored on the counter. An area of concern for the West Walians, though, will be that they were bullied up front at times, conceding a try from a driving maul and one from a series of pick-and-goes. The Ospreys also started brightly. against Ulster, and Rhys Webb had a big impact early on. He assisted a try and made a break, which adds to his case for a Wales call-up. The class of Ulster shone through, though, and they ground out the victory.
Now that's what's happened last week. What do we have coming up this week, Joe?
There is no Six Nations rugby this weekend, as we have another rest week, but we do have a Welsh derby in the Pro 14. The Ospreys take on the Dragons on Saturday at the Liberty Stadium. The Dragons need a positive result after their loss to Zebra last week put them bottom of Conference A. Aside from that game, fans will have to wait another week for the Six Nations to return.
Thanks, Joe. I'm sure everyone is eager for the Six Nations to get back underway and see if Wales can clinch the title. We will now head into our featured interview of the show with Welsh boxing's former Rocket Man, Robbie Regan.
Hi Robbie, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm pretty good, thank you, Joe.
Good. So during your career, you were known for having a very loyal support. Perhaps some of those fans would be listening now. How important were they to your career?
Very important, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have been able to get champions out of the countries to come and defend against me here in Wales.
I'm certain that you'll go down as many Welsh boxing fans' favourite fighters, even though you are humble and probably won't admit that. But who is your favourite Welsh fighter?
My favourite Welsh fighters are Howard Winston. I also, Jimmy Wilde is also one of my heroes, But Howard I was a close friend with Howard, and, he's my idol, Welsh idol.
For any of the younger audience who perhaps weren't alive when you fought, could you just give a little description of your kind of fighting style?
Yeah, a box fighter, I could go on the attack, or I could, just go on the back foot and be elusive. I could box both ways. It just depends on the opponent and what style I need to beat them.
You are, of course, among a select few Welsh boxers to win a world title. How fondly do you look back upon your career?
Oh, I love what I achieved, and I'm first and still only two-weight Welsh world champion, and also the first and only world champion at bantamweight. So, that's quite an honour to have.
How much did that win over Daniel Jimenez mean as you came into that fight as an underdog?
Yeah, I went up 2 weights, and my first fight at bantamweight was for the title, and he'd been over here 3 times, and he beat 3 very good men. He beat Duke McKenzie, who was our only 3-weight world champion. He took the super bantamweight title off him. He also beat a very good Scotsman, British champion, Drew Doherty, and he took the bantamweight title off a very good Ghanaian, Alfred Cote, who's quite a very extremely good fighter, and I knew how good he was because I'd done an exhibition with him. So for him to beat a fighter that quality, I knew I had a good champion in the other corner to beat.
So you've had some well-documented difficulties after your career, and I'm sure that was difficult. But how did you manage to turn the tide on that patch you went through after your retirement?
It's an hard road to get back off. It is, I got two young boys now, so they keep me occupied and, they keep me focused.
What advice would you give to anyone else who's struggling with alcoholism and depression?
Well, they need to talk to someone. There is help out there, different charities, go and see a doctor, see whoever you need for the help.
So how do you feel about the way your retirement came about?
Well, I was world champion. I got just to where I wanted to be, and and that took me 15 years to get there, and it was taken away in seconds, which is a very hard pill to swallow. But it was my choice, actually. I could have gone to America and boxed, but my health comes first. I had young children. I achieved my dream, so I think if I didn't achieve my dream, I might have thought about going to America. But I achieved everything I wanted to in boxing, so. I'm really grateful for that.
How did it make you feel at the time that you were forced to retire by the brain scans?
Oh, absolutely. I broke my heart, it destroyed me as a person. Boxing, your day is filled up, you train all day, you're occupied. And when all that's taken away, there's a big void in your life, and it's a big void to fill.
And your fans gave you a huge applause when you announced your retirement, and they supported you well throughout your career. Do you miss the attention of the fans?
Yeah, I missed the fight nights. My fans made them electric. It was just some amazing nights, and I'm lucky to have their memories. And a piece of everything I achieved in the ring belongs to each and every one of them.
Thank you for telling your story, Robbie. It's inspiring how you have overcome your battles. Robbie won the WBO bantamweight title in 1996 to join a select list of Welshmen to win a world title. That brings us on to our next quiz question of the show. How many Welsh boxers have won a world title? You can have 1 mark for every boxer you can name. While you think about that, here is this week's football roundup. Take it away, Matt.
Thanks, Callum. Cardiff City continued their surge at the Championship table with a resounding 4-0 win over Wayne Rooney's Derby County on Tuesday. The Bluebirds are now to 8th in the Championship table, just 2 points off 6th place Bournemouth, and are enjoying a resurgence under Mick McCarthy, with 4 wins and a draw in their last 5 games, and are unbeaten in their last 10. McCarthy's side face Huddersfield this evening in a huge tie which could have huge repercussions at both ends of the table. Yaya Sanogo is unlikely to be ready to make his first start, while Richard Stearman should keep his spot ahead of Richard Keogh. Defensive duo Christopher Schindler and Harry Toffolo remain on the sidelines through injury. The Bluebirds will be forced into at least one change, with Joe Bennett sustaining a knee injury against Derby in midweek. Swansea continued their quest for automatic promotion with a 2-1 win over Stoke at the Bet365 Stadium. The Swans returned to winning ways following their 3-1 home loss to Bristol City. Steve Cooper's side have 2 wins and 2 defeats in their last 4 games, but remain in 4th place, just 1 point off the automatic promotion spots, but with 2 games in hand. Swansea faced Middlesbrough on Saturday at the Liberty Stadium in a tie which promises to be a well-contested affair. As for Swansea's team news, George Byers and Mike van der Horn are sidelined for the rest of the campaign and remain out, while Wayne Routledge is also unavailable with a knee injury. Bersant Salina is being assessed on a day-to-day basis and has an outside chance of recovering in time. Elsewhere, Newport County continued their plummet down the League 2 table, following defeat to Tranmere on Tuesday. The Exiles have just 2 wins in their last 15 league games and have 2 defeats in their last 5. Michael Flynn's men currently sit 8th in the table, 7 points off the playoff spots, after occupying an automatic promotion spot for much of the season. They face an away trip to Colchester on Saturday, knowing an away win could provide some much needed positivity of a change of fortunes for county fans.
Starting off with Cardiff, what do you make of this turnaround in form under Mick McCarthy?
It's been pretty remarkable, to be honest, and rather unexpected too. A lot of heads were turned when McCarthy was appointed a few months back, but Cardiff have been great ever since. I think that was always a possibility, however, as they couldn't really have got much worse than they were under Neil Harris in the latter stages of his tenure. A lot of players have been keen to prove themselves since McCarthy's arrival, which I think has been key, and some quality players as well. So when you've got quality players who are looking to prove themselves, it's likely to return some positive results. Sean Morrison has been tremendous for Cardiff in the opposition box and had a hand in Bakuna's second goal against Derby the other night. He's also made several vital blocks for Cardiff defensively and has been a prominent figure since McCarthy's arrival. Will Vokes has been in a hot run of form too recently. The midfielder scored a worldie against Derby in their 4-0 win and has broken up the midfield superbly. He's a crucial asset for Cardiff and will be an important player for them if they are to indeed mount a serious promotion charge. Kiefer Moore has remained as consistently as an important player as any other Cardiff player this season, and he refuses to be any less influential as the season progresses. He wins every duel, presses high, and creates plenty of chances for his teammates, and remains a real threat in the air.
What do you make of their chances against Huddersfield, Matt?
I make them favourites. Cardiff was scintillating against Derby, and I don't see Huddersfield backline having the answers from keeping Cardiff at bay.
Do you think Cardiff are likely to go up with this current upward trajectory?
I think they may have left it a bit late to mount a serious promotion threat. They have been impressive recently, but I think the automatic promotion spots are certainly gone, and they're still a few points off the top 6 with some tricky fixtures coming up. But you can never bet against them, and in this rich grain of form, and in the Championship, you can never say never.
Moving on to Swansea then, do you make them favourites against Middlesbrough?
I do. It'll be a tough game. Middlesbrough have been in decent form recently, with 3 wins in their last 5 games. I think they'll provide a tough test for Swansea, but I do see the Swans getting the win.
With 2 games in hand on their rivals above, are Swansea in a driving seat for automatic promotion this season?
I'm confident Swansea will go up automatically, They're in a great position and are within touching distance of the automatic promotion spots, with 2 games in hand on the teams above.
What players have been the standout performers for Swansea recently?
I think Ben Cabango has been crucial at the back for the Swans. He's made key interceptions and clearances and is always a threat in the air in both boxes. Connor Roberts has been lively too lately. He's been a regular threat going forward, creating several key chances and linking up with Swansea's forward men nicely. Matt Grimes' defensive work rate cannot be underestimated either. Sitting at the back of a 3-man midfield is a position he's made his own and is equally as important to Swansea's results as their attackers. Ryan Manning has put in some good crosses and contributed well defensively too. And of course Andre Ayew has remained their star man going forward, contributing with goals regularly and plays perfectly into Steve Cooper's system. Jamal Lowe didn't look great the other night against Stoke and was subbed off after 70 minutes, but he's chipped in with goals this season and will be crucial for Swansea's promotion hopes.
As for Newport, they looked red-hot favourites for automatic promotion up until a month or so ago. Do you think that automatic promotion hopes are over if they don't win against Colchester?
I do. I have a feeling Newport may lose this game, and even with a win, I think they lack the real depth and quality to make up the ground they've lost and finish in the automatic promotion places.
What do you think is behind the team's poor run of results recently?
Losing some key players in the January transfer window, along with some injuries and a terrible pitch at Rodney Parade, has massively affected them. Michael Flynn has done a good job this season nonetheless, and I think with a couple of tweaks in their setup and 1 or 2 key acquisitions, I think Newport can come again stronger next season. Something really does need to be done about the state of the pitch at Rodney Parade. It's been bobbly and cut up for much of this season now, with the Dragons often playing there the night before. If Newport are to mount a serious run for promotion next season, this is an area which needs to be sorted, and fast.
Radio Glamorgan.
Cheers, Matt. The battle for promotion in the Championship is certainly heating up, and we'll wait to see if Newport can regain their form in League 2 from the first half of the season. The time has come for the quiz show to be brought to a close. So this is your third and final question. What is the highest weight category at which a Welshman has won a world title, and who was it? You get double marks for that question. Time for your answers now, but before we give you them, let's run over the questions just one more time. Here's question 1 for you. Which Welsh boxer defeated Mikkel Kessler at the Millennium Stadium in 2007? Question 2. How many Welsh boxers have won a world title? And as always, you can have 1 mark for every boxer you can name. Question 3 now. What is the highest weight category at which a Welshman has won a world title? And, for a bonus mark, who was it? The second answer is 12. Those 12 men are Percy Jones, Freddie Walsh, Jimmy Wilde, Howard Winston, Steve Robinson, Robbie Reagan, Joe Calzaghe, Barry Jones, Enzo Maccarinelli, Gavin Rees, Nathan Cleverley and Lee Selby. Included in that list was the answer to our third and final question, the answer being Enzo Maccarinelli, who won a world title at cruiserweight. No other Welshman has ever won a world title at cruiserweight or at the top weight category of heavyweight in history. That's all we have time for today. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back again next week for another Sporting Roundup. Thank you and goodbye.